Hello, my darlings. Welcome back to People of Theatre. Today, I'm really excited to have the chance to talk to Storme Toolis.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you very much for being here with People of Theatre. And let's start with off stage. I asked you what's your hobby. You said reading. Of course, very nice, intellectual. The queen of all the hobbies, I guess, reading. What have you been reading very recently then?
My most recent thing that I've read, I actually am reading at the moment. Oh, if I can get it the right way around. I'm reading East is East, which is a play by Ayab Khaldin, and it's.
Oh.
I'm reading it for two reasons. Firstly, because I like reading plays, and secondly, because it's a book that I am doing with my lovely Year 8 class, because I work. My other job is I'm an English teacher, so...
Right, we're going to talk about that later on.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's what I'm reading. It's a play about a family of British Pakistanis in the 70s and about all the different social and cultural norms that are associated with that kind of identity.
So let's move on then to staging it, and we talk about redefining Juliet. And I think the first question that I really wanted to ask you was, who's Juliet written for?
Anybody that wants to do it, I guess. Like, I don't know. I would argue that she's written for any person of any gender with any sort of inclination that feels that they can relate to the part. I think that's the answer to that question. The part was originally written for a 14-year-old boy, if we're talking about Elizabethan times, but we're in 2019 now. So Juliet is written for anybody that wants to take her in.
Tell me a little bit about the show. How did the idea come about?
Oh, it came about 5-6 years ago when I had dreams of playing Juliet on the stage, which I've now done. But I wanted to do that from when I first read the play when I was schoolgirl. Really, it came from that very selfish idea, and then I kind of broadened it and thought, who else might want to do this? Because obviously there's me applying to be Juliet in a mainstream casting industry, it wouldn't necessarily happen. And I thought, I can't be the only person that feels like this. Who else might feel like this?
Right.
So who else might feel marginalised? And then I started looking at the other sort of women that you wouldn't necessarily see as the conventional Juliet on stage. So
it's not a show that's about disabled people. It's a show that it's about diversity in general and about how everybody wants to be having a voice on the stage in the theatre industry today.
It's about people who want to feel validated and people who want to feel sexy and desirable and whatever that means to them and whatever, for me, when I was growing up, Juliet was like this kind of, I wanted to feel like she felt, and it's the kind of innately that people have to feel wanted and loved and desired and gorgeous and all those things. And I think, especially in the world that we live in now, where physical appearance and kind of the image of the perfect body and the image of the way that things are is so like constantly pushed at us, there aren't a lot of times when Juliet can be different. And I'm not trying to make a big statement and say Juliet needs to always be disabled. I'm saying that there are other ways to look at this. You can look at why if you are 5 or 6 dress sizes bigger than a size 8, why is that shut off for you as well? So it's more about womanhood and desirability and femininity more than just like disability.
Yes. And in fact, in the show that I've seen in 2018, there were 3 actors, a disabled actor and a transgender actor and a deaf actor, just to show the diversity of all the people who want to be on the stage and playing Juliet and just being sexy and beautiful as what the character is.
Yeah, like there've been a lot of other ones. We've had people who are dwarf, we've had sort of people with minimal growth, we've had people who are of a larger size, we've had people who might identify as trans, we've had people who are disabled, people who are deaf, who might look completely fine, but you might not necessarily notice. It's about broadening the kind of horizon of who gets seen in a desirable way.
Right.
And that comes from, that's the stage, really.
And he really, I think, really goes beyond the lines themselves. The night that I came to see Redefining Juliet at the Barbican, I was together with a friend of mine from Italy who was visiting me that night from Rome, and she doesn't speak any English at all. And she, after the show, she told me, actually, I understood everything. I don't know how and why, because I don't speak English at all, and I can't really understand Shakespearean English. But I understood. I understood all the show. For me, it was clear from the start to the end, and I think that's because it was really so powerful. It really went beyond the play itself.
Yeah, we never have just done the play. We always interweave the play with stories of the people that are in the play.
Right.
So the point of it is that it's Juliet's journey as a character, but also our journeys as performers playing Juliet. So it's about what can we bring, and every single time we do the show, it's different. Every single time we have a different group of Juliets, we have a different idea behind it. Every single creative process is different for the show because normally when you employ a bunch of actors, you say, right, we would like you to play this character. We are also asking actors to bring part of themselves in this show, and it's quite difficult because sometimes you don't necessarily want to expose that part of yourself. If you're being asked to play a character, you might not necessarily want to talk about a time when you have felt unworthy or unloved or something. But the point of the show is to bring these stories and interweave them with Shakespeare and show just how easy it actually is to do those things.
In the production where you played Juliet, there was also a sex moment with Romeo, I believe. Why was that particularly important for you? I
selfishly, in all the renditions that I've done, I always did that scene because I just wanted to. Because I thought that it's very important that disability particularly, and sexuality and sex and the way that disability perceives those things, relationships, sexuality, gender identity, whatever else, it's so important that we realise that disabled people have sex lives too. You know, we are biologically completely the same. There is and a lot of the time we do it pretty well. We do it a lot better than because if you're proud of what you got and you shake what your mama gave you, then if you're having fun, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not the kind of, I think as I've got older as well, like I used to be quite sort of scared of talking about things like this because I thought, oh God, like what are people going to think? Because it's quite a taboo subject, but now, like, it's so important to talk about disability and sex because disabled people have sex too. Absolutely, because we're human and sex is fun. Like,
so much fun.
It's fun. Why would you not want to have sex?
Oh my gosh, why? No, Storm, no, yes.
Sex is fun, and I am very lucky. I have a pretty normal, healthy sex life as a millennial. I'm fine. Like, I've had relationships. I'm in a relationship now. There's no difference between me and another woman. I don't see myself as unworthy or like unlovable now. I used to,
right,
in a lot of ways, which is what Redefining Juliet helped me do, and also a lot of other stuff helped me do. But you know, it's very, it's just love is important. You know, it's important to be in love. It's fundamental. It's a human right.
Absolutely.
You know, like
it is a human right. Yeah.
Love and
100%.
sex is a human right, and there is no reason why people feel uncomfortable, especially also working in education. Like I've had people ask me questions about my credibility as an educator because something that I've done, I've spoken about sex online as a disabled person, but you think about what teenagers are watching now, like teenagers are watching so much worse than that.
Totally.
Pornography is so accessible. If I go and talk about, you know, something in an open and candid and responsible way within the boundaries of my job, what? I'm showing them it's a positive thing. I'm showing them how to embrace themselves. I'm saying, don't be afraid, don't be ashamed. Like,
it's your identity. It's 100% yourself.
Yeah, of course. Like, and I think it's important for young people to see sex and disability as a positive thing.
Yeah.
And I made Redefining Juliet for young teenage girls. The show I made was for young teenage girls. I made it for 14, 15, 16-year-old girls who look at themselves on Instagram and think that they're not good enough. That's the whole point of the show. There's no other reason I did it.
How did you cast for the show? How was the casting process?
Well, the casting process is different every time. The casting process this time was very rushed and last minute. But the casting process usually involves us doing a very open advert on Spotlight and saying, you can't apply for this role if you are blonde, under 5'3", skinny and slim, and you look conventionally like a Juliet would look. You are not going to be auditioned.
Yeah.
So we have to put kind of very specific set of instructions, because a lot of casting directors, if you put out audition for Juliet, they're just going to send. So we always say things like bigger than a size 12, or small, or deaf or disabled, or LGBT plus, or this, or have a wheelchair, or whatever you would like to bring to it. We've had 50, 60 people turn up for auditions. So when we
That's a good number.
Yeah, when we were auditioning for the documentary, we had so many people, because people realised that they don't usually get seen for this type of job.
It was an opportunity, absolutely.
Yeah, we make it very open. We say, look, if you want to do this, come and show us what you can do. We give them a Shakespeare speech to look at. Usually we say not Juliet, you can bring anything, but you're not allowed to do Juliet. And we usually sometimes have a Romeo with us that maybe reads the lines with them, and we can see their chemistry if they have a connection. That's how we cast normally. Yeah.
You know, sometimes the industry says, you know, we don't have, disabled actors in our productions, or people from other gender identities, because there's no talent and we can't really cast them. It's a lie.
People always pass the baton from one person to another person to someone else. It's the director's fault, it's the producer's fault, it's the writer's fault, it's this fault. It's everyone's responsibility.
Right.
Everyone's responsibility. And there are people that are talent. There is talent. There isn't talent in the same level that there should be. We don't have a set of disabled A-listers that we go to, for example, if we are looking for a femme fatale to play. We don't have a disabled equivalent of Keira Knightley, even though I tried. But a lot of people say I look like her, which is quite weird. And yeah, but we don't have like an A kind of level of talent pool that is the same as our able-bodied counterparts. But we're working on it, you know.
Fab. I guess then we can move on to Q&A Spritz with Storme Toolis. We are not actually having like an Aperol spritz today. We are having
just squash, peach squash.
Great, which I have never had before, which sounds like ridiculous, I think. But let's have a taste. No, I love it. It's really peach, sort of.
Yeah, it's just like it's a squash thing.
It's a squash thing. I didn't know the squash word. I just asked like, what's squash?
It's like diluted juice, like dilute thing.
I don't think we had these things in Italy. Yeah, a little bit backwards over there. Anyways, but you've now actually decided to sort of abandon your career as an actor.
I wouldn't say I've abandoned it. I've taken a hiatus. I am halfway through training to be a teacher, a school teacher, English teacher. I have, throughout the time that I was an actor, I always went back to education, like as my other job, like my day job was always TAing and stuff. I always worked in schools. And I kind of, in the back of my head, always knew that I would quite like to be a teacher. Because I think it's really important for school children to see disabled role models.
Right.
And for teachers, for staff, for people in 2019 to see teachers that challenge the perception of what it means to be a teacher. And I also selfishly just want to know when my paycheck is coming in at the end of the month.
Fair enough.
I have rent to pay, so I want to be able to pay my rent. Being an actor the hustle is hard. Yeah. I think it's important for me to have a career.
Sure.
As well, so that's what I've decided. Even though acting is a career, but I wanted to have another
option,
string to my bow, and another option. So that's what I'm doing at the minute.
Great. First question gone. Do you sort of think you're an activist?
I don't really like the idea of being an activist because it's also one of the reasons that I left the industry, because I felt like, because I was disabled and I was getting to a certain point where I was expected to be an advocate. And some people live that like that, and some people like to talk about those things in a very open and public and frank way and document their struggle. But I'm just not one of those people. I've never been one of those people. I do it quietly, and I do it by just doing what I want to do, as opposed to making a kind of big song and dance about it. I would like to say that I'm not really, but I'll go with a quiet activist, maybe.
I like that, yeah. Discreet activist.
Yeah, discreet, I think, yeah.
In 2019, nobody would ever sort of darken the skin of a white actor to play Othello, but still, there are many non-disabled actors who play disabled characters.
I sincerely and firmly believe that disability should be played by disability. I also understand that theatre is about, we don't at the moment currently have a level of performer that we can just pull out of the air and put into a disabled role. And also, theatre and cinema is about making money. If you put a famous person's name on those seats, they will sell.
Right.
That is the nuts and bolt of what it is about. I don't necessarily morally agree with it. I think it's wrong. I think we should be nurturing disabled talent at every opportunity that we have. And we are doing that. But I also don't lose sleep over it, because part of it is just what the entertainment industry is.
Right.
And that kind of always will be. Because the industry is founded on physical looks and things that people can do. That's what being an actor kind of is to do with. So yeah, I'm 100% in the camp of disability should be played by people who are disabled, but the reality is sometimes quite different.
Your favorite onstage moment? Do you have one?
Ooh, favorite onstage moment. Okay, I think probably the end of the 2016 Juliet, when people were throwing roses at us, and I knew that we did the right thing. I knew that they understood what we were trying to do, and we weren't oh, look at all these poor people, they don't get to play Juliet, this is so sad, why don't we make it better? They understood the point of the show, and once they understood the point of it, they were on the bus.
What's your favorite theatre venue?
Theatre venue, the Globe, probably.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Or definitely the Sam Wanamaker.
Right, it's beautiful.
Because I think that's just
magical. Yeah. I'm a volunteer at the Globe and I love that.
Really?
In fact, yes, I really enjoy it. Do you use social media at all?
No.
Why is that?
It started after a bad breakup. I quit it after a long breakup. And then I never went back.
Were you stalking?
No, it wasn't like, it was for two reasons. For one reason, it was because of a bad breakup. And the other reason was because I just got bored of it. And I just quit because I was going into teaching, and being a teacher and being on social media is risky in itself because, you're not allowed to really, you kind of need to be careful what you post and what you say and what you're affiliated with because, your job is at stake. So I decided, also because it's really good to have space from that stuff, it doesn't really help me. I think it helps your mental well-being to not be on social media, so.
What's your favourite place in London?
Favourite place in London? Oh, hard. Probably anywhere that I could have afternoon tea.
Oh, say.
I'm a massive tea drinker, so anywhere that I could have, like somewhere really fancy, like the Savoy or something, I think.
A tricky question. I love this question. If you had a chance to take me on a date, where would you take me?
Oh, okay, that's a weird question.
That's a weird question, I know.
Okay. I really don't know. Probably to watch a show or something.
Well done. Yes, I would love that.
I know, like, I love musicals as well. That's another one of the things that I love. I love musical theatre. And so probably like to watch Wicked or something. I don't know.
I love Wicked. It's one of my very favourite. Let's go.
Something just fun and like a nice fun thing.
I mean. Now let's get more political for the end of the interview. Brexit. Here we are. I'm sorry, darling. I really need to ask you this question.
I don't know what's going on with that. So like. I don't know what you want to ask me because I don't know.
Because nobody knows what's going on. So imagine that the camera is a Brexiter. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that I'm fine because I have an Irish passport and I don't know what else is going on.
Good luck.
Have a nice day.
I love it. Great. Now that you end with another question, I think that's a question that you and the rest of the cast, you've been asked to each other or during the rehearsals. I saw that like in the documentary, I think. Would you change a thing that makes you different?
No. Why? No, of course not. Like, I stand by the answer that I said before. Like, I will watch the interview at some point and probably think in my head I don't like the way that my hands move or whatever, or like instinctive things about me sometimes, but absolutely not, because if I did I wouldn't be Storme Toolis. And also, that's not to say that it's not hard, that's not to say that I have days when I maybe would say yeah, alright, but like on the whole, I'm on this earth for a reason, I'm doing this for a reason, so no.
Great.
I think I feel more comfortable with myself as the older I get, so no.
Now, the first questionnaire. Here we are.
What's that one?
Yes, very easy questions, or easy answers, I guess. Let's try to find out who Storme really is. What's your idea of perfect happiness?
Comfort, art, food, and tea, probably.
What is your greatest fear?
To die alone, I think, is my greatest fear. Yeah.
Which historical figure do you most identify with?
Ooh. The one that I have an obsession with, I love the Tudors.
Ah, yes.
I have always had a bit of a thing for Anne Boleyn. I don't know why. I just always.
She was such a strong woman, actually.
Yeah, and she knew
combative.
She knew how to get her man to do what she wanted him to do, and like I'm like that's good for me. Like.
And the very last one, what is your motto?
It's actually tattooed on my hand.
Oh wow, let's have a look.
It says, "Nevertheless, she persisted." That's my motto.
Oh, let me see. Oh, that's a beautiful one. Nevertheless, she persisted.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's my motto, I think. I got it a couple of years ago. Yeah.
It's a very good one.
Nevertheless, she persisted, I think, is my motto.
Great. We come to the end of the interview. Storm, thank you very much.
Thanks.
For giving me
that
the
was
opportunity
fun.
to talk to you.
That was fun.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And you guys, thank you a lot for watching me, and please do get in touch, and remember to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and love me on Instagram, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for anything, just visit my website, peopleoftheatre.com. Till next time, people of theatre, from stalls to stage. Thank you very much.
That was really good. That was really fun.
Oh, I love it.
Once I got into it, it was really fun.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
it was
very happy
good.
you liked it.